In recent years, the number of registered vehicles in most countries around the globe has steadily increased. And likewise, the Philippines has also seen growth in this figure. According to CIC data, the number of registered vehicles in the Philippines during December of 2019 was reported to be at 4,711,103 units. The figure saw a 277,922 increase from the 4,433,181 number of registered vehicles recorded in the same period of the previous year. With this increased number of registered vehicles comes also an increased number of people driving and or sitting in an object moving at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour on average. In this way, as people would surely speed up while driving, especially when they are in an urgent situation or in a hurry, it is inevitable that accidents might happen. Approximately 1.24 million people die in a car accidents annually worldwide according to the World Health Organization. Drivers and passengers are the most common victims of off-road accidents, in which 70% of those injured and killed are located inside the vehicle. At this time, let me ask you a question. What is one of the safety measures to ensure safety while driving? Yes, it is wearing seat belts.
Seat belts, also known as safety belt, is a vehicle safety device designed to secure the driver or a passenger of a vehicle against harmful movements that may result during a collision or sudden stop. However, even with the Seatbelt Use Act of 1999, which mandates people to wear seatbelts, figure shows that not a lot are compliant with the law. According to Dayao in 2010, ONE-ISS recorded that out of all the riders injured in a car crash, only 19.58% wore seatbelts, while in 2016, the figure dropped to only 2.91%. Further research showed that in the quarterly reports of ONE-ISS in 2021, none of the 626 injured victims in a car crash wore their seatbelts. With this, we can see how important it is to use safety belts.
In order to know even more about the importance of seatbelts and how it can save the lives of the people riding in a vehicle, let's understand the physics behind the concept of seatbelts. Here's a free body diagram that shows the different forces that affect a vehicle occupant on impact during a car crash. The common forces are the gravitational force, the normal force, as well as friction forces such as air resistance and surface friction. However, momentum is now present and is due to the acceleration of both the car and the object. Even when the car stops, the person will continue to move at the same momentum, and this can be strong enough to overcome the friction forces, causing the person's body to even fly out of the chair in the case they are not wearing a seatbelt. On the other hand, while momentum is present in the second diagram, the reaction force of the seatbelt is also present. This is because the presence of a seatbelt took on the person's momentum and exerted an equal and opposite force, and even redirected some of the momentum back to where it originated. This explains why people are thrown back to their seats after lunging forward during sudden stops, whenever they are wearing seatbelts. The presence of friction forces invalidates the conservation of momentum, which explains why individuals are not subjected to the entire power of a car crash through momentum and why seatbelts divert momentum. Nonetheless, even with the amount of momentum being reduced, it can still generate enough force to injure a person. Because of the work energy principle, which states that the change in the kinetic energy of an object is equal to the net work done on the object. This indicates that the greater the stopping distance of a driver or the amount of stretch a seatbelt can do, the lesser the impact force that they will be subjected to. This explains why seatbelts are designed to be adjustable, not to accommodate everyone who will be riding or make them more comfortable, but rather to reduce the impact force. This concept also explains why covering a longer distance before coming to a stop reduces the force that people feel whenever coming to a stop.
In the case of the concept of seatbelts, Isaac Newton's three laws of motion can be seen to be applied. Newton's first law, or often called the law of inertia, states that an object in motion will stay in motion, an object at rest will stay at rest at a constant velocity unless an unbalanced force acts upon it. In a situation of a car crash, inertia is the property of an object to resist a change in motion. It comes from the mass. The greater the mass of an object, the more inertia it produces. Inertia also has to do with why seatbelts exist. You experience inertia in a moving car, and that inertia will continue to move the person even if the car is suddenly stopped. To prevent this, seatbelts were made to hold the passengers and driver down, protecting them from their own inertia. Newton's second law, which states that the greater the force, the greater the acceleration. The greater the mass, the less acceleration. In the case of a car crash, the weight of the car and its acceleration can lead to a great force being applied to the people in the car. And with momentum, the force along with the person's inertia will keep the people moving. Seatbelts were designed to withstand and even redirect this force in order to keep the people in their seats. Lastly, Newton's third law of motion states that every action force has a reaction force, equal in strength but opposite directions. This law involves two objects and the action and reaction force happen simultaneously. If a person is not wearing a seatbelt and something in front of them, such as the dashboard or the back of a seat, they will fly forward and hit it, and the object knocks at them back with the same force they applied. However, when wearing a seatbelt, the force exerted by the person will be encountered by the seatbelt and will prevent the person from moving forward, keeping them safe from any collisions with the thing in front of them.
In conclusion, seatbelts are useful in an accident because when you fly forward, the seatbelts applies an unbalanced force that pulls you back. With this in mind, Republic Act of 8750, also known as the Seatbelt Use Act of 1999, should be made mandatory in the Philippines. This will ensure that all drivers, regardless of vehicle type, wear their seatbelts, and vehicle manufacturers will be encouraged to install seatbelt devices. This will reduce the likelihood of serious injuries occurring during any unexpected car accidents.
With this, the researchers would like to recommend 4 things. 1. Always prioritize safety and develop the habit of buckling up whenever entering a vehicle. 2. Teach the youth to buckle up, for this will assist them in developing this habit at a young age. 3. Vehicle manufacturers should continue to develop better safety features that will make drivers and passengers alike feel comfortable using them on a daily basis. A good first step in this direction is to install modern warning systems that activate when the driver and front passenger are not buckled up. And lastly, conduct checkpoints on a regular basis for road traffic law enforcers to ensure compliance with the road and traffic laws such as Republic Act of 8750 in order to promote a sense of safety on the country's road. This will encourage and remind people to follow the rules of the road until it becomes a habit.
We appreciate you taking the time to view our TED Talk presentation. If you like it, consider watching other talks from the Agalon P.